What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on Spotify, then welcome back to the podcast. So in today's video, I'm going to break down very simply exactly how I've lost 20 pounds in the last 6 weeks, which has been my 2024 dieting phase, which is leading nicely into the summer. So I wanted to just give you a quick rundown of exactly how I've gone about that, and also some of the strategies that you can take as well, which you can go away and implement for your cut. Hopefully you started that by now. If you haven't, then you're in for a treat, as this is going to give you the exact breakdown, which will still get you very, very good results if you're looking to still be in shape by the summer. Basically, I wanted to talk you through a 6-step framework that you need to take when it comes to reaching your goals, getting in shape, and essentially making sure that you get there in the right time frame. Now, the first step that you always need to take when it comes to this is actually setting goals. This is a bit that people always miss. They always want to go onto the fancy stuff, the nutrition, the training, the supplements, and they don't actually sit down and set themselves a proper goal. Because if you don't have a goal, you are just essentially like shooting blanks. And I always say this to the kind of people that we work with at FitLab, that we always plan this out for you in terms of actually setting you a realistic and a tangible goal. So the kind of framework that I want you to think about when it comes to goal setting is one that I actually read recently in a book that I'm reading called Eat the Frog by Brian Tracy. I would definitely go and check it out if you haven't read it. Essentially, it talks about productivity and how we can reach our goals from that framework. However, what he talks about is 5 methods that he would use to reaching a goal, which I completely agree with as well, which, to be honest, I was kind of doing already myself, but it's good to hear it from an expert that it definitely works. Now, the first thing that we always need to do is we actually need to set ourselves a goal, right? It goes without saying, we actually need to think about what it is we want to achieve. So if we're looking at fat loss, if we're looking at getting in shape, then this could be, I want to lose 10 kilos, right? That's our initial goal. Then when we've done that, we need to actually write it down. And this is an important step, because when you write something down, it actually confirms it that you're more likely going to get there. And there's been studies to show that as well. If you write something down, you're more serious, you're more likely to go and achieve that goal, especially as you can actually look back on it on a day-to-day basis as well and remind yourself of the goal that you've set. The third thing is we actually need to set a deadline. Now, this is again super important, because naturally as humans, we procrastinate all the time. It's Parkinson's law. We don't get the job done. We need to be harsh on ourselves and actually set ourselves a realistic deadline of what we want to achieve. And this is why it's important to sometimes do something that sets you out your comfort zone. Like I've actually set myself a goal of completing a photo shoot at the end of this cut with Matt. And that's something that we know that we've got to turn up and do. We know it's got a deadline. We know that we've got to be in shape for that particular event. Now, I'm not saying go and do a photo shoot, but having a date set is super important. You need to do that. The fourth thing is about actually making a list of everything that needs to get done. And this is exactly what I'm going to run you through today, so you can essentially take a lot of what I'm about to explain to you. And the fifth part of this goal setting framework is making a plan and actually looking at this list and putting it into an actionable step-by-step plan, which is going to go and see you reach this goal. So that is exactly what you need to do before we kind of get into the more fancy stuff. Now I'm going to go into step number 2, which is the nutritional aspect. So I'm going to run you through kind of what I've been doing, but I'll also relate this to essentially how you can do the same approach as well. So first thing to identify when it comes to nutrition is the kind of approach that you're going to use. So when I say approach, I mean, are you going to track your calories and use a really flexible dieting approach? Are you following a meal plan? Are you doing something kind of in between, which we would call hybrid at FitLab? I would suggest, just from experience for myself and working with enough clients, that you would go for the third option, which is more of a hybrid approach, which basically means that we want to follow quite a strict kind of structure of food, so that we kind of take the guesswork away, we get results, it's predictable, but we also have a little bit of variation there as well. So like maybe the last meal, the dinner time, or the weekends, you can kind of switch a few things in and out, which just makes it a little bit easier when it comes to getting results, because you don't get bored and you don't essentially then risk kind of slipping and falling off the wagon. What you need to then do is work out your calories. So an easy way that you can do this is you can go and use a calorie calculator. Now we've actually got one at FitLab, which I'm going to link in the bio, so please go and check that out, and you can work out your calories for free, and we'll shoot the exact numbers at you. Or you can just kind of look at around 10 to 12 calories per pound of your body weight, which generally puts you on the right track. Unless you're really experienced and you've got a lot of muscle, in that position you probably would know where to start your calories anyway, because you would just probably subtract maybe 500 of where you're currently at. For most people that are starting out, really, like, you would want to go around 10 to 12 calories. Go 12 if you want more of a kind of sustainable calorie deficit, an easier calorie deficit, which is still going to get you great results. Go 10 if you're right, I need quite quick results. That's going to start to see you losing body fat pretty quickly. Then you're going to want to work out your protein, which should be at around roughly between 1.8 and 2.2 grams per kilo of your body weight, or roughly 1 gram per pound of your body weight if you work in pounds. Easy way to calculate your protein, which is going to put you right on the right track. So what you want to do as well in nutrition is that when you've kind of got this stuff worked out, you want to look at how we can actually optimize our environment in terms of, not messing things up. What I mean by that is go into your cupboards and get rid of all the shit that's currently in there that's going to stop you from reaching your goals. And I mean that. Go in and find out the foods that you can't trust yourself with, the foods that you could just, have a bad day at work and go and grab. You need to get rid of them, because if you've got these in your flat or your house, you're going to go and grab them when, I don't know, you get hungry or times get harder. I would do exactly the same. I have done this, and me and Matt make sure that there are certain foods that we just don't have. We've slipped up and we've made mistakes. We've had too many oats on a certain occasion. We get rid of these foods because they're trigger foods. That's one thing you really need to go and do, and I would do that straight away. In terms of actually distributing your carbs and your fat, so it doesn't really matter exactly what the ratio between these two are. Now, I have done both of these. I have done a high carb approach with a relatively low fat approach. This time around, I'm using a higher fat approach with more of a moderate carb approach, if not quite low carbs based on the calories that I'm consuming. Both work great. Both have seen me get amazing results. The first photo shoot prep that I did, well, all the photo shoot preps that I've done, gone higher carb. I've looked great. I've been okay. This time I've used more of a higher fat approach, and this is more so for actually like cognitive ability. I find that I actually work a lot better. I'm a lot more focused when I eat higher fats rather than carbs. I find that carbs can sometimes lead me to crash a little bit. That's just my own personal preference. Some people respond really well from carbs. They train better. For me, I find that my body's become slightly fat adapted from when I did keto last year, which works really well. So you can kind of experiment with these two. I certainly wouldn't go less than 50 grams of fat either way, but you can kind of experiment to what you think would be right out of these. That's pretty much how you go about nutrition. So then we would go into step number 3, which is looking at the training aspect. Again, super important. We're not going to get in amazing shape without actually going to the gym and training, unfortunately. So my approach with training is pretty simple. I've been training about 5 days per week in terms of lifting weights, which is obviously on the extreme side, but it is my job. I enjoy training. I've got more time on my hands to fit training into my schedule. But you can train 4 days per week, even 3 days per week. We've had clients get amazing results from doing that. But you're going to want to commit at least 3 days a week in the gym to actually lifting weights. You don't do 3 days per week, you're probably not going to get great results. Realistically, it's not a waste of time, but you're just not going to be as satisfied with the results that you see. So you're probably just going to want to push for that extra session. It's literally going to be like 1% of your week, even if you're training 3 days. It's really not that much if you're really keen on looking your best for the summer, which if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you probably are. In terms of the split that you use, again, you're going to want to make sure you aim to try and hit at least each muscle group twice per week. That is going to be more optimal. It's just going to lead to better gains. There's studies that have supported that. Doing the bro splits, it just doesn't really work, to be honest. I've been doing a split. I've been doing push-pull because my legs are actually my strong point. And if I hit my legs hard enough on Wednesday, which trust me, I do, I've been hitting legs very hard recently, I don't need to train them again. They get enough on that session. I don't need to go back for round 2. And I find my upper body is actually where I want to put the most amount of my priority at the moment. So that's how I've been conducting my training. And it's actually been working really well for me. So that's pretty much how we go about training. Be consistent, aim for at least 3 days, find a split that allows you to get 2 sessions, 2 body parts per week, and you're going to get great results from a training perspective. You want a copy of a training split, again, that I know works. I can link below something that you can go and download for free, a Beachbody training split, which is going to, again, get you amazing results. Then we move in to step number 4, where this is where we start thinking about the cardio aspect and the steps aspect, which is super important if you are trying to get great results in terms of fat loss, because we need to be expending calories. The calorie deficit is what matters the most, which is why nutrition is the biggest priority for losing body fat. However, we make it a lot easier by moving around more, by doing cardio. It just makes it easier. We can eat more food. And I don't know about you, but I enjoy eating food, so I'd rather put the work in as well outside of the gym and outside of my nutrition so that I can actually allow myself to eat more food. So my approach has been at around 12,000 steps per day, and that's not really me trying either, and that is inclusive of my cardio as well, which I'll get onto in a second. But it's been between 12 and 15,000. It depends on the day. I walk, if I'm going at training at the gym that's not in my apartment, then I walk to the gym. That's going to get me a few thousand steps. Walking to the shops, that gets me a few steps. I don't really actively try and go out and get that many steps in. I'm just generally quite active. It's just part of my day at the moment, which again, it works well. Now I track my steps using an Oura ring, so I don't miss a single step because this thing stays on my finger all the time. Whereas sometimes I find activity trackers, you can miss a few steps arguably, but at the same time, they're absolutely fine to make sure you're hitting that step target. I would say you want to at least be getting in 10,000 steps per day if you're trying to get a decent amount of fat loss. You can still get away with it on less steps, but you're just going to see better results. And if you're really trying to scale things up and you think, shit, I've left it a bit too late and summer's coming up, like I would be pushing between 12 and 15,000 per day because you are just going to accelerate your fat loss results even quicker. That's the step thing. It's super important. Don't neglect your step target. target. It's arguably more important than cardio because you actually burn more calories from steps than what you would do from cardio. Having said that, I do believe cardio can be very important as well. It can definitely help, and that's something that's definitely helped me. So on this cut I've been doing, I started off with 20 minutes of fasted cardio every day, which just worked for me. Just, getting out of bed and going to do an exercise first thing in the morning. It's helped me. It's helped me wake up for the day. It's actually helped me become more productive as well. And I'm lucky that I've got a treadmill, I've got a gym in my apartment, which is just maybe not like most people would have. In Dubai, that's generally the case for most places that we live. So I've been doing 20 minutes and I've scaled this up. Okay, so I did 20 minutes for probably the first couple of weeks, and then I hit a little bit of a plateau or just decided I was going to do a little bit more. So then I did 25 minutes of fasted cardio, and now I've been up to 30 minutes of fasted cardio. And this is probably the max that I'll go to. I've never really needed to go past 30. Like, I know my body well. I've done it enough times. I know 30 minutes is probably enough for me to see really good results in terms of fat loss. I wouldn't need to necessarily go beyond that, really. And for me, I like to do incline walking on a treadmill. That just works for me. I find it quite easy enough that I can kind of, zone out. I can watch a YouTube video, I can listen to a podcast, I can do something productive at the same time. I just find it works. Stepper is also a good alternative. I don't have a stepper in my apartment, but I find the incline walking does a good job for me, and that's what I generally stick to. And it also does contribute towards my step target. Now, some people say to not include cardio in steps, which you can do, but it just depends. Like, if you're tracking data and you're seeing results, you can include them. We kind of do a bit of a mix with clients, depends on what we decide is the best approach to use. And being inclusive is probably the easier option, to be honest, because otherwise it means you've got to take your activity tracker off, or you've got to subtract those steps, which just gets a little bit messy. Like, we're not IFBB bodybuilders, like, we don't need the most optimal strategy. We can just do things like that. But anyway, that's my cardio approach. And then I generally like to do 2 runs per week as well. And that, again, is just because I enjoy running. I wouldn't say you have to run to get in shape. You certainly don't. I just like running. I like being fit. I've used more of a hybrid approach probably in the last like 12 months to a couple of years. And I just enjoy doing it. So I didn't want to take running out, as I was doing it so much more before I went on this cut, but I decided I'd keep it in there. The only thing I would say is, like, the intensity of my runs has definitely dropped. I was running quite quick times before I started this cut, whereas this time around my recovery, I haven't wanted to push the runs too much, because if I run a really aggressive time and I'm in like zone 4, zone 3, zone 4, basically just a high heart rate zone, then my recovery is going to be impaired. And that's not really what I want, because I want to still recover, and I'm kind of using the runs as more recovery runs. So I'm running at quite a low intensity, and it's just allowing my body to recover, because I'm doing like a zone 1, zone 2 run. But at the same time, I'm enjoying myself. I'm not really too strict on the time, because I can get quite competitive sometimes, and I find it okay. And if I feel like I need to rest, then I rest. I don't push it if I don't have to push it, if I feel like I need to give my body a bit of a rest sometimes. So that's my cardio approach. I don't do any HIIT. There's nothing wrong with HIIT. It's obviously quite time efficient, but it's just not something that I've really found that I've needed to do this time around. I wouldn't say there's a massive advantage of doing HIIT rather than just doing normal low intensity cardio. And HIIT as well, unless you are very well trained, probably not the best thing to do, because it can affect your recovery as well. But again, it's dependent. There are some clients that we always prescribe HIIT to, and it works for them. Some people just enjoy working at slightly higher intensity. Number 5, this is sleep and recovery. Again, a bit that people don't always necessarily talk about. Super important. Now, I'm going to keep this bit quite short. There's not too much to cover on this. However, you need to make sure you're getting in enough sleep, and you need to try and do your best. This is obviously going to be dependent on the person. Like, if you have a job that doesn't allow you to get the best quality sleep, or I don't know, you've got a newborn baby, you've just got to do your best. Like, when you can get good sleep, get good sleep. If you can't always get good sleep, you just have to kind of, suck it up and try and do what you can. It's not always going to be optimal. However, if you can get 7 hours of sleep, I would highly suggest you do so, because it makes a massive difference. And there are studies that also show one group who have, lost weight on a similar calorie deficit towards a group that's had more sleep compared to less sleep. And I'm talking like less than 5 hours versus like 7 hours. The group that's had more sleep has actually significantly lost more fat in terms of fat, not muscle, and actually got better results, right? They've lost the same weight, but one group has lost significantly more fat, the other's lost significantly more muscle. And I know which group I'd rather be in. Not just to say that, but sleep just makes it easier to stick to your calorie deficit. You've got more energy, you get less hunger spells, you recover. You just feel a lot better. I've been very strict on my routine on this cut. And I've been going to bed no later than 10:30, like really lights out by 10:30. And that's if I'm reading as well at like 10 o'clock. And I've been getting up at about 5:30. So my morning routine has been like pretty rigid. It's like 7 hours of sleep every night, pretty much. And again, like, my worrying is my sleep's not been perfect. There has been some nights where I've actually not got 7 hours. It's just kind of like on and off. But me being in bed in that time is worked well enough. I'm still trying to improve my sleep, but it's given me enough benefit. And in terms of recovery, again, like I say, I listen to my body. I don't train more than 5 weight sessions per week. Sometimes I was throwing in extra arm sessions, but then I just found that I was pretty fucked by the end of the week. So I stopped doing that quite quickly. And now I just feel like having the 2 days where I'm not doing weights works for me. And if I feel like I need an extra rest day, I will take an extra rest day. I listen to my body. I don't do anything stupid. I like to sit out in the sun sometimes. I de-stress because too much stress is not good for fat loss as well. We need to be in a low stress state. So I like to lie out in the sun. Sun's very good for you. It increases your mood. I also have been taking the odd ice bath as well, which again is good for recovery purposes. So I do things that help with recovery. I do things that make me feel good because I think that's an important aspect to this as well. I eat foods that make me feel good. That's also important in terms of recovery. And the last thing, guys, in terms of this 6-step approach, which is going to see you get an amazing shape for summer, of course, is supplements. Now, there's not that many supplements that really you need to be taking. I'm just going to run you through the ones that, of course, I take and the ones that I probably would say are more important anyway, because I take a fair amount. I don't take loads, but you don't need to take all these supplements. So I'll run you through my supplement routine at the moment that's working relatively well for me. So the first thing I do is when I get out of bed, I will go and have an electrolyte supplement. Now, I feel like this is super important because naturally living in a hot climate like this, you get very dehydrated overnight. You end up losing a lot of water. I definitely feel like I need to hydrate very quickly in the morning. So I always make sure I get an electrolyte supplement straight on board. I just take one tablet, like an SAS tablet. I put that in about a litre of water and I get that straight down me. That's the first thing I do before I even go and do cardio. Then I'll normally have some apple cider vinegar, which again, it is a bit of a fad product, but there is benefits that have been shown. It maybe could be better for fasting as well, which is, again, the approach that I've been using. I'll get onto that in a second. But I do take that. And then what I've been taking recently as well is about 20 milligrams of yohimbine. Now, this is a supplement we do recommend to our clients. It's not the most widely recommended supplement, but there's also nothing wrong with it at the same time. And it does definitely work for fat loss. If you go on examine.com, which is where I research all my supplements, there are studies that show that the use of yohimbine definitely works towards fat loss. It can help to remove stubborn belly fat. It works down a slightly different pathway to caffeine. It is a stimulant and it does work. And we've had great success using it for our clients. I'm not recommending everyone to go and use it. I actually don't believe you can get it in the UK. However, you can get it in Dubai very easily. But it is a supplement that works. It's safe. It's nothing like a steroid, anything like that. And it does work from what I believe. So I've been taking yohimbine. Generally, then I'll go and do my cardio. I get back. I have a bit of a supplement list that I use for productivity. I'm not going to go through that because that's probably a different video. And then generally what I'll do is I'll have a green tea to start off my day. So I actually don't go straight for caffeine. I have a green tea. I get some nootropics on board. And then I get my first caffeine hit at about 9 o'clock and I'll have a coffee and I'm a double espresso. It's probably about, I don't know, maybe like 150 milligrams of caffeine. I'm not too sure the type of coffee that I'm having in my machine. It's not like going to Costa or anything like that. And then I'll have my first meal at about 12 o'clock. And then the supplements that I get on board at 12 after I've had a fast in the morning, which is working really well for me and has worked really well for me, is I will normally go with an omega-3 supplement, which is really good for lowering inflammation. It gets fatty acids in your diet, which you're not going to necessarily get from your diet unless you consume a really high salmon diet or something that's really high in omega-3, which is not what most people do. I have vitamin D, which even though I live in the sun, supplement with vitamin D is important. You want to get more of that in your diet. It helps towards testosterone production. It helps for a lot of different things, which is why I take about 10,000 IU of vitamin D. I take vitamin C because I don't want to get ill and I feel like I don't eat a huge amount of fruit because fruit's got sugar in it, which I'm not saying is bad. Fruit is actually okay, but just in a cut, I'm not eating huge amounts of fruit. And then generally I'll have ashwagandha as well, which has been shown to lower stress, which is a good supplement to take, increase your mood. So I just take that naturally. It helps. I take it. I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to take a multivitamin as well. So multivitamin is just like an insurance policy in case I'm deficient in any other vitamins or minerals, which I don't know if I am or not. I maybe need to do a blood test, but I like to take a good quality multivitamin as well. And then when I get to the evening time, when I get before bed is probably the next time that I take supplements. Oh, and Tonka Ali. So that is another supplement I take. There's a lot more research on Tonka Ali recently. A lot more people are starting to take it. And apparently it's meant to naturally produce testosterone levels as a guy. And if you can take anything that's going to increase your testosterone levels as a guy, take it naturally, of course. That is going to help you feel better. It's going to help increase your mood, your strength, your energy, everything. So that's why I take that as well. And then before bed, that's the next time that I take supplements. And I will take ZMA, which has been shown to improve sleep quality, zinc, magnesium. And then I take 5-HTP, which again has been shown to increase mood and actually increase serotonin levels, so actually make you feel better. And I take melatonin as well, which is actually our body already produces. However, taking a bit more melatonin just gives your body a bit more support for getting into a deeper quality of sleep. They're my supplements list. Now, the ones that I pick out of that I'd probably say for most people that they should be taking, if you maybe on a bit more of a budget, you don't want to take all the fancy supplements, I'd say you want to be taking an electrolyte supplement, definitely, because you want to hydrate yourself, especially if you train first thing. An omega-3 supplement, because I believe that is an important supplement for your health, but also for body composition. Vitamin D, because I think that if you live in the UK, you don't get much sun. Even if you do get much sun, if you live in a hotter climate, it's definitely still worth supplementing with vitamin D. I think a multivitamin is important as well, because that's just going to give you a bit of an insurance policy. I didn't actually talk about creatine. That is another supplement I take too. Kind of just a bit of a given, actually. But essentially, people don't always necessarily know what that is. Creatine is a performance enhancing supplement that's actually, again, one of the most scientifically backed supplements that there is. I will take 5 grams of creatine during my workouts. I also take EAAs as well. I will take obviously a whey protein powder, but I take 20 grams of that in my last meal. So I don't just have that on its own. So there's a few other ones that go in there as well. I can't remember how many that is in total, maybe around 10. So anyway, guys, that is pretty much the full approach. Now, that is kind of like my 6 steps, I suppose, to getting in shape for the summer. That's kind of what I've done. I broke down what I've been doing. It's worked really well for me. I'm going to document obviously more throughout the summer as well of kind of what's been working, what hasn't been working. But I really hope this video brings you some value. I hope it gives you some tips. I hope it gives you some pointers. And hopefully this gives you kind of what you need to be able to go and get off on the right track with things. Go and check out the free resources below because I do really believe they'll help. You can work your calories out. You can get a free training plan that I'm prepared to give you. Of course, if you want to take your results to the next level, there is options that you can obviously work with us at FitLab and work with us one-to-one and get a more tailored approach with your nutrition, with your training, with your goals. We've helped thousands of guys and girls get in amazing shape. It's something that we've done and we've taken a lot of pride in. And if you feel like this is the next step for you to take with us now, book in a call, let's have a chat, let's see where things are going wrong, and let's maybe see how we can get you to that next level. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe for future videos. Hit the bell notification so you're notified for the next time I post. And I'll catch you in the next video.